It's an absolute pleasure to be here and a real honour to be here as your brand new president. I'm going to speak from notes. It's not my preferred option, but it is day one. And I'm also conscious of the fact that I'm being videoed. So I will use notes, and I hope that I don't make it too boring for you. If it is, just wave and I'll try and liven it up. I think it's just probably worth just giving you a couple of other pieces of personal information. I've been at Deloitte for nearly 15 years, but previously to that I was at IBM for nearly 20 years. I've worked in the UK, in EMEA and the US. I did my Master of Science in America. And I'm married with two sons of 27 and 25, and I live in Taunton in Somerset. So I was pleased to hear that Wales are here today, and I will be expecting to visit branches in the southwest, but also elsewhere. So I'm looking at Ian because I'm off to Scotland on the 1st of April. So I'm really proud to have played an active role with the Institute since 1997. You could say that it's been one of the longest job interviews in the world to end up with me standing here. The last few years have ramped up my activity. I joined Trustee Board as a Vice President in March 2014. At that time, I was the Chair of the Policy and Public Affairs Board. And we may talk a little bit about policy and position statements later on today. And then about 3 years ago, I became chair of a new board that I constituted as part of the update of the governance of the Institute called the Organisation and Employers Board. And we've been very focused on outreach to organisations in the pursuit of membership. Over the years, I've been involved in a whole range of different programmes with the Institute. Some of you will have been through the unconscious bias training, which was something that I put together and which we later rolled out with 39 other professional institutions. But also I have been very involved in lots of initiatives to try and get more women into the IT industry, and obviously have failed. So, I do sometimes say if we hadn't been doing anything, it might be worse. But we haven't increased the participation of women in our industry in 20 years. And that's something that I think collectively we need to understand and do something about. So I was honoured to be inaugurated yesterday at the AGM, and I'm really excited to be representing the BCS and its members at a time when I think the role of IT and its potential to transform society for good is absolutely critical. Just as a little aside, I did a quick count, and I think, I'm not absolutely sure about this, but I think I'm the 6th female president of the BCS in over 6 years, and the 3rd businesswoman. So the other 3 women were academics. So that's our kind of the presidential representation. But I do think it is quite important to have women representing this institute from time to time. Many of us in this room, but fortunately not all of us in this room, chose a career in IT at a time when it was quite an unusual choice to make. I remember my mother was really surprised. She said, "You're joining IBM?" But look where we are now. Society has changed hugely. AI is the future of many of our key services, from transport through to healthcare. Cybersecurity is an existential issue for virtually all of the organisations we work with. So social media is having the profoundest impact on the well-being of our children, but also on society as a whole. And the future of computing education, including the persistent underrepresentation of girls in the classroom, could arguably be top of the list. And these are just some of the areas where I think that the BCS impartial, expert insight is more relevant and vital than ever. So my ambition for the next 12 months is to embed BCS and its aim to make IT good for society into everybody's computing lives, from school to university, into work and beyond, so that membership and professionalism become both aspirational and expected. I would like employers and government to value and demand the standards that our profession defines and maintains. I want our profession to be synonymous with high quality, trusted, ethical, fit for purpose IT systems. Because I believe that the people who create the systems, design the function, write the code, join the systems up, check they're working, embed them where we use them and manage them, are the critical engineers of the hidden infrastructure of the modern age. And I don't think we take it half seriously enough. IT is ubiquitous, and nobody pays any attention to any infrastructure unless something goes wrong. Users have an expectation that IT is safe, that best practice, relevant and up-to-date standards and governance, the highest ethics and principles, tariffs and rules are all in place and upheld for individuals and for organisations and for countries. But can we guarantee all of that? So I happen to think that that is our job, mine and yours. I think it's the job of our society, the BCS, the Chartered Institute of IT, to make IT good for society, to set the standards, describe and assess ethics and codes of practice, and require our engineers to be appropriately qualified in their technical skills and behaviours. I think it's our job to make sure that the decision makers creating this new world insist that the people who are creating it are independently accredited, qualified professionals, ideally through the BCS, but I'm also a great collaborator. And I think it doesn't just have to be us, but it could be us working in collaboration with other organisations. That's what I believe. I think it must be a fundamental part of our strategy that we are all advocators and recruiters to our institute. From experienced fellows through to the newest members of student chapters, we all should be promoting the lifelong benefits of professionalism and BCS membership. That's why I, and so many of us in this room, have willingly committed time and passion to supporting and helping this institution, and why I now offer to redouble my efforts as president. But, despite all of this, fewer than 3% of those eligible are professional. Most of the people who work in our industry are not BCS members. If there are over 2 million people working in IT in the UK and we only have 40,000 paying members, we have a massive opportunity to seize. We need more young people, more diversity of all kinds, more international members, more users and commissioners of systems, and I think the time to act is now. To understand why this small percentage should fill us with determination and pride to recruit, let's take some time. I'm just going to take some time to reflect on why we are so important, what we've achieved in the recent past, and what we can do in the future. We have the Royal Charter. We have that. We have more than 60,000 members in 150 countries, including 3,000 influential fellows who are business leaders, public sector professionals, educators, health informaticians, and policy influencers. Over 10,000 of our members are part of the BCS because they work for 100 plus organisation members, ranging from my own employer, Deloitte, right through to NHS organisations like South, Central and West. We are trusted by government to contribute to crucial policy making. For example, as a result of our evidence base, computer science is now included in the, and I may say this wrong, apologies, but I've got EBAC, or EBAC, thank you, new speech, school performance measure. Over 11 million people in the UK lack basic digital skills. It's a focus for government, and we're proud that 3 million have already studied for our digital literacy qualifications. Diversity must improve. Only around 16% of the industry are women, and although we have really good ethnic minority diversity in the early grades, we're not seeing it flow enough through to the senior levels. Our policy and research focus shines a light on underrepresentation, reporting on gender, ethnicity, disability and age. There are practical reasons for this. An AI created by a non-diverse team risks being non-inclusive. For example, I'm delighted to see, as part of this programme we've been talking about this morning, the New Beginnings programme, the inclusion officer role is being further developed and brought together as a network of volunteers and member groups who can support diversity and inclusion within all the BCS groups. Ethics, you will have heard a lot about from my predecessor, Chris Rees. It was his big theme for his presidential year, but it really must set the agenda. We supported the Office for AI in developing an industry-funded MSc programme in machine learning focused on a diverse and ethical talent pipeline. We need also a professionalised healthcare IT sector. This has been a journey that I've been on. So I've worked with health IT since the early 2000s. Health IT have been trying to do digital for a really, really long time, and they've made significant progress, but there is still a lot more to do. BCS are really involved in this agenda. I hope there are some people from the health executive or health groups here today. But we do need to secure ethical and professional use of patient data and ensure that data-driven medicine is used for good. So we have a lot of collaboration going on, especially with FedIP in the healthcare area, and we are collaborating well. I think it's a good example of how we collaborate well, and we could do that in other places. Further education was mentioned earlier. Further education is absolutely critical, but we know that university is not the only route to the IT profession. You know, we've talked about the fact that we're doing fantastic work with apprenticeships. We have a higher technical education review happening imminently with the government. There's some new money being given to further education. We need to be thinking about vocational training, continual professional assessment and retraining as part of our activities going forward. So, as President, I see the need to radically grow our membership and increase the public and policy appetite for professionalism in IT, to get more individuals and more organisations into the BCS, so that our profession will be properly recognised, our voice heard, and our engineers and specialists called on to shape policy, speak for our industry, and build the mission-critical systems of the future. I would love that the commissioners of IT systems require them to be designed and delivered to professionally recognised standards. And I'm going to be talking to commissioners of IT systems about this and asking, how do you know that the CVs that are put in your proposal, how do you know that those people are properly qualified to build the systems that you are commissioning? And if any of you would like to get involved in that, please let me know. As volunteers, you all exemplify this campaigning spirit, and you understand our role in engaging the industry and attracting new members to be part of our community. I've also enjoyed being a BCS volunteer over the last 20 plus years, shaping programs and driving change. I'm an optimist by nature, and I've always been one of those people that would prefer to roll my sleeves up and try and get something done in a positive way. But we do need people like you. We need people like that, rather than the people who would rather throw stones, because it's not massively helpful. But as volunteers, I know the more I put in, the more I get out. And I think that probably goes for most people who do volunteering. I do completely agree with the comments that were made earlier about pace. I do worry that we do quite a lot of talking, and we do need to do some more action. So I'm really wanting to work with you around real change and pace. But I do think that this is our collective responsibility. I don't think it's a job of the executive or any individual board, specialist group, branch, or trustee board or council. For me, there's no us and them. There's only us, which is you and me. So I will focus my time and energy on our challenge. And I know you'll help and support me, staying involved, passionate and active, and going out and getting members. The future depends on it. Thank you.